welcome to another edition of Precinct 29. Today we have with us as our guest Frank Maurizio. Frank Maurizio is a resident of Pahrump, and although he doesn't live in Precinct 29, he's close enough to be a guest. And he is a candidate for the town board, one of four surviving primary candidates who will be running in the general election. So I thought it might be good for us to get a bit of an idea about what Frank Maurizio is like. Okay, so Frank, now that you're a big star here on television, tell us a little bit about your background and a little about yourself, if you would.
Okay, Andy, I was born and raised in Staten Island, New York. I met my wife in 1969, and we got hitched in 1970 and moved to Woodbridge, New Jersey. In 1969, I joined the Army National Guard, and I spent 22 years there, retired as a platoon sergeant. And in 1979, I was hired by the Woodbridge Township Police Department, and I served for 22 years, and I retired with an injury, an on-job injury. My first 7 years, I was a street cop, and I was chosen to go to a specialized school for traffic homicide investigator and accident reconstructionist. And what that is, I did that for the last 13 years. I would investigate serious and fatal accidents and then reconstruct them. Now I can reconstruct the accidents years after they happened for lawyers and whoever. At the same time, 1979, I had a small construction company, so I have a background in residential construction. And with the specialized training with the police department, I have a background in engineering, physics, math, computers. I have 5 kids, 5 children. I have 6 grandchildren. And I have a house in Pahrump, and I'm tied to the community. I've served on several advisory boards. I served on the town board for 2 years after being appointed by Governor Gibson at the time. I ran for election in 2010, but I didn't make the primary cut. So after 2 years hiatus, I see what's going on. I don't like it, so I decided to run again. And this time I made the primary cut. I'm primary slot number 2. That's about it.
Frank, you mentioned being a police investigator. Does that give you any special insights into looking at the ways government is run and the way the laws are written and enacted here?
Yes, it does. The way the laws are written in Nevada, there's too many loopholes. Things aren't spelled out so an average person that reads the law can understand what it means without going to a lawyer to find out what it means. And it opens the doors to a little more insight into doing a lot of research. It helps.
Well, I have noticed that many of your emails and correspondence seem to be focused on specific issues. One of the issues being the theme park that's being proposed for the town of Pahrump. Care to expand on that a bit?
Yes, when this first came about, I was happy that they were thinking about doing something with the fairgrounds, but it turned into a mess. This thing with a tank park, it's just, I don't think the town board knows what they're getting into. Little liability-wise and mechanically with a tank. I served in the Army as a tank commander. It gets to be about 105, 110 out here. Well, it actually gets to be 150 in the older tanks. And I don't think anybody's going to pay $500 to sit in a tank and drive around in that kind of environment. Second, I did a lot of research on Mr. Holbrook and Facetus, his company. I also did a lot of research on Contours Entertainment, Mr. Brown's. It seems that Mr. Holbrook's work is not up to snuff. There's a lot of controversy in his background. If he served on Red Wing Port Authority, which is in Indianapolis, and after a while, they let him go because he falsified his resume or his application, and he took him to court. He didn't win on a falsification of his application. He won on breach of contract, which is totally different. He says he won. He only won on breach of contract because they let him go the wrong way. And a little more research, the city of Herbert Heights, he had done some work for them, and they come back and they suing him now for non-performance. They didn't like his work. And there's just a lot of other stuff, and I don't think Contours or Vasitas Group should be handling anything in the town of Pahrump with that kind of background. Now, there's nothing wrong with Contours Entertainment. They're pretty clean. There's nothing, but the only thing involved with them is they haven't designed a theme park or anything in that realm of reality. So that's where that stands.
When you talk about things that have happened, these are items where you're getting your information from.
Newspaper, the IRS.
Newspapers locally or from other places?
Oh, let's see, from Texas, Ohio, Arizona, Minnesota. I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, it's not just one location. And I'm getting it from the blogs and the different references to different stories. I mean, you really got to dig. I just don't go what the blogs say. I dig into it, do the research. And it's really fantastic that our town board can't do this.
Frank, we're spending what at this point about 300 and.
We spent $151,000 for the first report. They just okayed $207,000 for the second one, and there's going to be a lot more after that.
And how much money and from where does it come from?
I understand it's coming from the tourism room tax fund, and there's about $980,000 in there. And when they get finished, there won't be anything in there.
So this whole package is going to run about $980,000.
$950,000 was projected, and that's before the shovel moves it. Dirt.
So we're just going to be getting paper.
Yep, paper study. Another one.
It does bring to mind what sort of mechanism the town has to store these studies. And I know this is a little off the topic of what we're getting, but since we're getting a study that's going to cost this much money, do you have any idea what mechanism the town has in order to retrieve studies that have been done in the past? Do they have a system kind of like the library has where you can go to an index card and it says, oh, yeah, it's over in this building and it's on shelf 30 and so forth?
Well, I've heard they did a study 5 or 6 years ago on the same topic, a theme park or fairgrounds. It only cost I might have the wrong figures, 5,000?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm not sure about that, and one of our town board members, Mr. Harley, Theme Park Copeland, said it was a boilerplate. If they said there that it was not good for the town, and they go out and they're going out again and getting a $900,000 study done, it's just inconceivable. These people have no concepts at all.
Well, you were talking about Contour and the fact that they have not actually produced a theme park yet that's actually in operation. Is this kind of what I'm hearing from your comments?
Yes, they have not designed a theme park. They've designed little things like a Star Trek thing in Las Vegas. Not too much else. They're really just a I think on one of the sites in California they're called a display and something company. They build displays. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't actually build it, but they do the artwork, I guess, and the layout for the display designs for events. So, I don't know, folks. I leave it up to you. I'm not making just my opinion, nothing else.
Well, I would respect the opinion that you've given us, Frank, and the fact that you have a background in investigating people and issues. So, where do you think we're going to go from here? When is the next report due in from Contour?
I haven't seen a date when it's due. Excuse me. I haven't seen a date.
I see.
It's got to be anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Because now we have to go out and hire the town has to go out and hire a lobbyist to lobby the state and investors. It's called a private public entity. Private public entity. That's not the real word, but the county already. Mr. Brown went to the county last month and gave a presentation, and the county just about said they ain't going to back any of us. So I don't know how they're going to get a private public thing going with the state, the town, the county. They all contribute money and they get private investors in there. I just don't see how they're going to do it.
You raised some interesting points here, Frank. I am curious, who at the town level brought the subject up and found this company to provide this information for us?
Okay, I viewed now I don't know who taped this, but it was on YouTube. It was a conversation when Mr. Holbrook first came here to present this thing to the town board and to the taxpayers at the meeting. Now it's somewhere in town hall, the video, and it's Mr. Balakwi and Mr. Holbrook talking about this. And from what I gather out of the video, Mr. Balakwi brought the idea to the town board, and then Mr. Balakwi, Mr. Kobarker, and Mr. Copeland went out to California to talk to Contours, I believe. I don't know if Holbrook was involved in that. It didn't. But Holbrook is a subcontractor for Contours. That's what Mr. Brown said at the the county meeting.
When the town board voted to take on this project, were there any of the town board members not in favor of it?
Yes, I believe Mr. Darby.
Was he the only one?
Geez, I'm not sure if Estaby was for it. Again, I know she had a lot of questions about it, but I don't know how she voted. I think it was 4-1.
And Carolyn Endersby has left the board now.
Yes, she has resigned on the board.
So we have one empty seat.
Yes, we do. We're waiting for the governor to appoint somebody.
Governor's been a little slow on that, hasn't he?
Like I said, I think he's waiting to see who made the primary, but there's a lot of rumors out there, but I think we know who's going to get it. I don't want to mention the name right now.
Well, there you have it, folks. Frank's got a secret, and he's not sharing it today. We're going to take a break, and we need to give you some information about people who sponsor these shows, and we'll be right back. Well, that was a pleasant intermission. We're back now with Frank Maurizio, one of the candidates for town board here in Pahrump, Nevada. And we left off talking about the theme park that is being proposed through the town board. And while we were off the air, I asked Frank a question about the theme park. Quite frankly, we never did mention what kind of a theme park are we talking about. How did it start out, and what does it look like now? Frank, can you give us some idea about where we are?
Sure. The first one I think was an alien theme park. And
I called it the illegal alien
the
theme
illegal
park.
alien theme park.
We could have crossing the Rio Grande.
No, it was
hiding
not
in
that
the
type
bushes.
of illegal alien. It was the UFO alien.
Dodging the INS.
Yeah. And then it worked into a tank theme park, which is ridiculous.
You mean like water tanks, gasoline
no, Army
tanks,
tanks.
storage?
They want to purchase 5 Army tanks. And these guys town board don't realize what they're getting into. The liability alone. Specialized mechanics. You just can't hire a guy from a local garage to fix a tank. You can't order the parts over the counter. Who's going to fix the track? One track on an M60 or M48 tank weighs 2 tons. Does anybody in this town, besides a tanker that's been in the Army, know how to fix one of those, or a Marine? And who's going to pay I read the price of $500 someplace in all that research. I said, who's going to pay $500 to ride around in a 140-degree heated tank in the middle of the summer? Then the latest thing I heard that Harley wants a Western theme park designed with a train. Well, we have one in Boulder City and we have one at Bonnie Springs. We're going to put another one within a 70-mile radius? I don't think it's going to work. What's your opinion?
Are we talking 3 different types of themes within one park, or are we going from one idea to another?
One idea to another. So I don't know. I just don't see how it's going to work. That's just my opinion now.
Well, if we paid $150,000 for the first portion of the study, and it was based on an alien theme park, and then it came back saying that they recommended we do a tank farm.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go back and continue the same study, but with a different approach?
I don't know. There was really nothing in the backup to say what theme they're going to be working on. They're just going to go back, research more, and come back with another proposal.
Well, it's other people's money, so
yeah, they don't care.
We may as well do whatever we can.
Yep. Spend, spend, spend. New motto for the Pahrump Town Board.
I did hear a comment at the town board that why would we be concerned about how the money's being spent? It came from the tourists, and it didn't come from the taxpayers of the town. Does that make a common sense idea to you? Just because we have the money, we shouldn't pay attention to it?
No, that's very wrong. That money is here for one reason. To do something right for the town and the townspeople, not just spend on studies. Excuse me, especially out of the area studies, which consultants, what makes it worse. But like I said, it's just my opinion.
Well, we have a town advisory board that's supposed to I should rephrase that, we have an advisory board for tourism. Now,
Correct.
Since this is a tourism attraction, have you heard anything, or is there anything being said by the Tourism Advisory Board to the town board about how they should be proceeding, or what their recommendations or suggestions might be?
As far as I've seen or read, there's been no recommendation from that advisory board. And there was a comment made by one of the members of that PTCC that they don't know what to do with the money. So I guess that gave the idea to the town board to spend on a useless study for a useless theme park. Again, just my opinion, nobody else's.
Okay, well, let's go on to another topic here. And that topic is going to be on the current issue of incorporating the town of Pahrump. What do you think, Frank?
Well, number one, it's not going to work. And my reason is we have no commercial or industrial tax base to support incorporation. And they just keep saying it will work. It ain't going to work. If you look at the city of Fernley, which was used as a reference in the 2010 study by the California entity, according to them, in 2010, everything was hunky-dory. It's not hunky-dory. If you do the research, you go to the City of Fernley, Nevada's website, and I mean read every little piece of information on there, you will see by common sense, if you go to the resolutions and ordinances, you'll see they're in trouble. They have, if a resident in the city of Fernley goes to pay their water bill or their sewer bill and use a credit card or a debit card, they could charge $1.14. That was in 2010. I don't know what it is now. That's stupid. Ridiculous. because they don't have the money to function. They're creating all these SIDs, special
Improvement districts.
improvement districts. They have one that's called the Landscape Management District. If you don't keep your landscape up to their requirements, you get fined. Or they come in and do it and they charge you. It's unbelievable. Last year, or in 2011, they put a
Bill draft request?
They put a bill draft request into the legislature to increase their amount of their share from the consolidated tax fund because they can't make it. And that's going to happen here if this incorporation goes through. Now, I'm not totally against it, but right now I am because there's no industry here to support it. And I can't see burden the taxpayers of Pahrump any more than they are.
Well, that raises a question here. Just because you had some sort of an industrial tax base, we're already at the maximum amount of taxes that can be charged here in Pahrump as far as property taxes go. So are you suggesting that the city would perhaps add some additional sales tax on or come up with other taxes that they can't do now?
They would have to make it work. How else would it work? The county is not going to give them the funds they need. I think the Mirror did a study a couple of months back, a comparison. And I think the comparison was somewhere between 70 and 79% of the taxes that go to Nye County are going to need to run the city. And county is not going to give them that. So I don't know how they're going to do it.
Frank, do you find that, and I know you look at these issues and look at the background, do you find that the people who live here in Pahrump, when they write letters to the editor and comment on TV shows, that they're really familiar with what the laws say and what the rules are and the process of doing incorporation?
Some of them really do the research, like Mr. Little. He just had a letter to the editor on a corporation. Now, I forget what year, 2000-something, the law changed on I believe it's incorporation.
I think it was 2001, was it?
Yeah, 2001. Now, he really laid it out. So that was a real good letter to the editor. It really broke down a corporation, and it states the facts why it won't work.
What newspaper was that in?
That was in a Mirror and a Pahrump Valley Times.
Was in both?
Yes. And I believe it was in last Thursday's Mirror. I could be wrong, though.
So you'd have to actually go buy a newspaper in order to get
you would
his
have to
opinion, or be on his email list, I guess.
That probably, yes.
Yeah. Speaking of email lists, do you have an email if people wanted to contact you?
Yes, you could get me at fjjm303@gmail.com. That's fjjm303@gmail.com. Or I have a website. It's www.frankmaurizio.com, which is still in construction, by the way. But you can leave, if you go to info@frankmaurizio.com, I believe it'll go to my regular email. Or you can contact me, 775-209-5898. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them. If I don't know the answer, I will get it and get back to you.
Frank, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Since your website is still under construction, are you doing any better than Contour is when it comes to producing something of real value?
I'm constructing it myself, so it takes a little time to read all the codes and how it's supposed to be set up and the HTMLs and all that stuff. But it'll eventually get there.
So if we were to go to the website now, what would we see?
Oh, we see
Under construction?
No, it's got my picture. It's got what I stand for. It's got a little history. It's enough there to get started. But more be added.
And how will we know more has been added and when?
He's put me on the spot here, folks. Well, you just have to keep going back and go to www.frankmaurizio.com.
So there you have it. If you got nothing better to do, you want to go to FJ.
Yeah, it only takes 2 seconds.
FJ. Well, why don't you, when you update your website, why don't you just send out an email to people who are ever on your list?
I can do that. That's no problem.
And that way you can just put the link in there and that'll remind
go right
people
to
to
the
go
link.
look. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Frank, is there anything else you want to say before we close out about you and your campaign and anything else?
Yes, I could. If you have any ideas of, you can send them to me at that email address, or I need help financially with my campaign. If you like to make.
The mother's milk of politics.
Yeah, I really don't consider myself a politician, and I could use help with campaigning. And if you want to pitch in, make a donation, whatever, you can call me at 775-209-5898 or.
Yeah, whoa. Hold on a second here. Let somebody get a pencil.
Okay.
We'll wait while you get a pencil. We'll just look at Frank for a minute. Okay, Frank, how do they get in touch with you?
Okay, you can call me 775-209-5898.
209-5898. Got it.
Or you can go to fjjm303@gmail.com.
Do you always answer your phone when people call, Frank?
Yes, I do.
Oh, really?
Yes. Unless I have it on vibrate and I don't feel it, then it goes to voicemail. Sorry about that. Like it is right now.
Do you have any plans to be out of town between now and election time, or are you going to just sort of hang around?
Yes, I plan to take a trip to New Mexico over the July 4th holiday. But I'll still have my phone with me, and anybody could call. And my truck and my sign will be in a parade. It'll be driven by Mr. Greco and his sidekick, Mr. Richards.
Well, I want to thank Frank for coming on the show tonight. I invited him because I knew he had been a previous town board member, along with one or two other candidates that may have had an interest there.